Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's edition of the Othor Cain Show. I'm Othor Cain. Glad to have you aboard on this Tuesday evening. We are back. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving holiday and you are preparing for the upcoming entire holiday season. So, lots of reasons to be thankful, and we are very thankful that you are joining us tonight. Got a great show coming up for you in just a little bit. We'll have an opportunity to speak with Jackson Police Chief Joseph Wade. That's coming up in just a little bit. First, though, just want to remind you that your support is absolutely appreciated for this platform. We don't take anything for granted. We are absolutely grateful for all the love that you've shown us. To all of our sponsors, everybody. I will tell you this, that some votes are still being counted in the Mississippi Supreme Court race. I know you've been waiting on those numbers. It's not quite over yet. Votes are still being tallied. And so we'll try to bring you those numbers as soon as we get them. All right. So again, we are grateful for your support. You can continue to support us so that we can continue to bring you shows like this. You can do that via our Cash App. That's $ Othor Cain. Feel free to do that. You can also scan that QR code and share with us as well. We're grateful. And there are several different ways of sponsoring the show, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the broadcast. But we are grateful. We are absolutely appreciative of your support. And we are excited tonight because we have joining us Jackson Police Chief Joseph Wade. He has been on the job a little more than a year, just a little bit over a year. And I think that the entire city of Jackson breathed a sigh of relief when he was named police chief. I think everybody breathed a sigh of relief. But there are some things happening. We're going to talk a little bit about his first year, his vision, where we're going, and all of those kinds of things. So let's welcome to the broadcast tonight, Chief Joseph Wade. Good evening to you, sir.
Good evening, brother. I appreciate you allowing me to be on your platform. You know, I've actually made it. I'm on your show.
Oh, please don't even try. Don't even try, man. We are grateful, man. We know you're busy, but we are absolutely grateful that you have taken time out of your schedule to share with us tonight. Lots going on. But I want to first just jump into the fact that you've been in this slot on this job for just a little more than a year. And again, like I said earlier, I think the entire city kind of breathed a sigh of relief, you know, a woosah moment when you were named chief of police. Tell me a little bit about it, man. Anything, is it everything that you've expected? More work than normal, less sleep than usual?
Oh my God, all of the above. It checks all of the boxes, but I'm so excited. It has been so challenging. It has been absolutely challenging, but on the other hand, it's been very, very rewarding. I'm so excited about the reception that I've received from the citizens, the people that have supported me, the love they've shown me when I go to community events. I speak at galas, banquets, you know, even at funerals. They've invited me to speak at funerals of individuals who've lost their life to gun violence here in the city of Jackson. So I'm so excited about it. But you talked about the 1 year, a little over a year as being chief. Today actually marks my 29th year with the Jackson Police Department. I started.
I was going to segue into that. 29 years. Wow.
Yes. I know I don't look it right, but
not at all, brother. Not at all. Well, we're glad to have you here on your anniversary, man. That is
on my anniversary date. I walked through the doors of the Jackson Police Department Training Academy on December 3rd, 1995. So to be here 29 years later, serving as the chief, is something I would have never dreamed at ripe old age of 24 when I started.
Let's see. Let me see if I can do the math. No.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yeah, you got it. I'm counting backwards, not forward, though.
That's exactly right. Well, man, that's really good, though. That's really good. Congratulations to you for sustaining and lasting that long and rising to the top, right? Rising to the pinnacle, you know, in my mind, the pinnacle of your career. So that is really, really, really good. But you alluded to this, man. It hadn't been the easiest year as the top cop
No,
in
no.
Jackson. Lots going on, and this Thanksgiving holiday weekend was a brutal one, a deadly
Yes,
one in the
yes.
city of Jackson. Let's talk us through this weekend.
Well, as you know, we had 3 homicides starting Friday, and it was very disturbing to me because, the holiday, especially Thanksgiving, is a time that we embrace, enjoy, celebrate each other, spend time with the family. But we continue to have a criminal element here in the city of Jackson who don't think like you and I. They think that the way that they deal with situations and circumstances by going to get an assault rifle. So we had the situation down in South Jackson where a young man was inside of a vehicle burned up. We're working very hard to, find out who he is. We feel he's one of our missing persons in a case that we were working recently. But we also had another shootout at an apartment complex in South Jackson. Again, very disturbing. We had a young man whose body was put out of a vehicle shortly after that, and he succumbed to his injuries. But we did make an arrest in that case. Well, we've issued warrants in that case for 2 individuals, one an 18-year-old and others a 16-year-old.
Wow.
So that's very problematic. We continue to have this issue with youth crime in our city. And we also had an individual that was killed at a motel here in Jackson, West Jackson. He had, unfortunately, a rendezvous with 2 young ladies, and they subsequently took his life. But we continue to have this issue, Othor, where people that know each other, acquaintances. I believe in data. I believe in quantitative data. I believe in talking about the stats, whether they're good or bad. We're working our 100th homicide of the year, 100. We
Wow.
solved 81 of that 100, an 81% solvability rate.
That's good.
That means that we got 81 individuals who won't be killing anybody else. They're in the criminal justice system, and hopefully they'll be held there until they go to court, take a plea deal or something. But I am not interested in just putting them in jail for, the weekend. We want to put them there for the long haul because apparently they can't operate in our community and within our city.
I got to ask you, when you talk about putting them in jail and perhaps putting them in jail for the long haul, that brings to mind the entire Hinds County judicial system and all elements working together, right? All cylinders operating as one. Talk to me about that, because I remember when I was the spokesperson for the sheriff's office and under Sheriff Tyrone Lewis, we used to have all of these meetings with the judges and the DA and JPD and Hinds County sheriffs and all of these people that make up the the judicial system in Hinds County. Talk to me about where you stand in this process, and your solvability rate is excellent. It's amazing to me.
Yes, it's outstanding.
The system as a whole.
Yeah, well, that's the issue. That is where the issue happens. That's where the issue transpires, because we know the criminal justice system has 3 components. Law enforcement, which is one component which I'm responsible for, the courts, the court system, and then corrections. If all 3 are not working in lockstep, all 3 are not working in sync, then we have an issue. We have a problem. We have an issue. We have a problem when we have people sitting in jail for 3 or 4 years before they go to trial. You're looking at speedy trial issues. You're looking at witnesses that you can't locate anymore. You're looking at some problems. But what I've done, Othor, I'm not just relying strictly on one component when it comes to courts and the judicial system. I also work in lockstep with the Mississippi Attorney General's office, and also work in lockstep with the U.S. Attorney's office. I've met with all 3 branches as it relates to those components. I've met with all of the municipal court judges. I've met with all of the county judges to let them know what my stance is, but also how we can improve as a law enforcement agency to make sure that we are giving them cases where they can get prosecutions and move these individuals out of our communities.
That's good. That's really good, man. Um, do you have the capabilities of targeting crime in terms of understanding, where things are really happening? We talk about South Jackson all the time, and again, this past weekend was an indicator that a lot of things are happening in South Jackson. How are you targeting the areas where crime seems to be more prevalent?
Yeah, and I've talked about this since June 1st of last year. No longer do we have a whack-a-mole approach. No longer are we just moving from one side of town to the other. There's a strategic approach to what we do. Every single week, we have real-time command meetings. That's when the captains, the deputy chiefs, and assistant chiefs present to me what they are doing to address crime in their area of responsibility. But then I take it one step further. We have these meetings once a month open to the community. I have one this Thursday at 2 o'clock at Jackson Revival in South Jackson to bring the numbers, to bring the team down there, to show the community what we're doing. But we have to be strategic. We have maps that we plot where crime is happening. We have heat maps to show where crime is happening. And we also utilize our resources and deploy our resources based on where crime is happening here in the city of Jackson.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. You did a clergy town hall recently, right? Talk to me about
Yes.
that and the importance that faith leaders play in solving crime or helping with the criminal element.
That far exceeded my expectation. You can always ask my young Captain Christian Vance. I have these things I call epiphanies all the time. And when I had my epiphany about the clergy town hall, I said, let's add another layer to it. Let's include a clergy town hall. And as you saw, we had some heavy hitters from across the central Mississippi area that participated, men and women of the cloth. And it was not a situation, Othor, because I don't operate in a space where people are just pointing at the problem,
Right.
analyzing the problem, memorializing the problem. Let's talk about next steps, actionable measures. Let's talk about tangible things that we can do together. And the clergy, the faith-based community is on board. They are fully supportive of me and the direction that I have. We spent a whole week training them up with the tools that they need to go back into their church and back into their community to own their block. But I challenge them as well, Othor. I challenge them to come outside of the church, come outside of the four walls, and let's help people that's in a state of despair and destitute. Let's have some parenting classes. Let's talk about conflict resolution. We have so many young men here in the city of Jackson who don't have mentors. I want to commend you for the great work that you're doing mentoring young men in our community. But there's a lot of young men who don't have that strong male leadership. And I've challenged them to get out in the community and bring people to the church, introduce them to the church, but let's not just sit back and point a finger at the problem. And they were very receptive to that. And we're going to have a follow-up town hall with them to see exactly what did they do and how can we move forward together to expand what we started a couple of weeks ago.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. I want to pull a comment in from one of our viewers tonight. Candy Love. She says, Chief, what about bringing the DARE program back? Even if you can save 2 out of 5, it's a start. She just wants to know about that.
And she must have been in one of my meetings because I've been having a lot of conversation with Dr. Green, with JPS. He's doing an amazing job. We've met twice, and we're trying to build out what that looks like with our school resource officers if JPD returning back into JPS. We're talking about that. We're talking about funding for it. And we have to have that footprint within Jackson Public Schools because as I explained to the superintendent, and he understands completely, he is a true ambassador for our kids and our scholars here. But they're in school from 7 to 3 or 8 to 3:30 or 4 o'clock. But when they leave the school, now they're my kids. Now they're my kids. So we're looking at that program. We're building out what that looks like. But the superintendent has been very, very receptive of us returning to JPS inside the schools on a daily basis.
That's good stuff. Chief, you talked about your solvability rate at 80-something%, and I think
81.
81%, and I think that's outstanding. I think that's really, really good. Well, let me ask you a question. Because I know that you cannot arrest your way out of the problems that we have in Jackson. You just cannot do that. You can't
No.
arrest your way out of that. How important is the family structure to you in this space?
It is absolutely huge. And I talk about this all the time in different formats and platforms across the city. A lot of the issues that we have, Othor, didn't start here at the police department. They started inside someone's home. They start inside someone's home. And when you have 11, 12, 13, 14-year-olds that you're arresting for capital murder, we have some institutional failures in place that contributed to that child. And I don't look at that child as, oh, this is a bad kid, lock him up and throw the key away, because the United States Constitution, the 8th Amendment, is not going to allow you to do that, because that's cruel and unusual punishment for a child, for a youth. So there's a lot of breakdown within the family structure. We have some parents doing the best they can. We have some grandparents doing the best they can. And I say this often, but we have some parents and grandparents and fathers that are also not doing the best that they can. And those are the kids that are out here robbing people, carjacking people, and taking someone's life. And like I stated, the young man from this past weekend, we've issued a warrant for an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old. At 16, I wasn't running around with no gun. I was shooting basketball and fishing and, doing things that kids do. But now we're at a different time and place, and we've got to look at some of these social issues that contribute to so much violence as it impacts our youth and impacts our city.
Right. But it's also fair to say that you do have some good parents where children are still doing some bad things, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I understand that. And that in some situations is an anomaly, but also I do understand that the ones that we run across. Now, there are some great kids and great parents, because I've been coaching and mentoring as well for the past 18 years. And you may saw last week where we had open enrollment for our PAL program for the fall. So we got all those kids and great kids, single parent kids, some of them, some of the best kids I've ever come across. And some now are men, they're adults that came through our program, and they're contributing to our community, and they're doing the right thing. So I don't want to paint a wide brush, because we got so many kids that we celebrate through our Youth Citizens Police Academy, through our PAL program, through our talent show that you help judge.
Absolutely.
With those kids, so we got a lot. I believe in intervention, prevention, and diversion when it comes to our youth. I do not believe in locking them up, throwing the key away. So I just need more men, more parents, all individuals in that same space as we deal with this issue. If not, we're going to lose a lot of kids along the way.
Got it. So we're hovering at about 100 homicides now, right?
JPD is working 100. And as I told the media on yesterday and today, we're working 100. That does not include the homicides that Capitol is working. That does not include the homicides that Hinds County is working. But working at one homicide, 100 homicides, that's very disturbing to me, because I talked to these mothers in my office. I talked to 2 today who lost their sons to gun violence. Not this year, not last year, 4 years ago. But they see what we're doing now as far as solving these crimes. So now they're coming back and hoping that we can solve their child's case and bring down some closure or some type of resolution. And I talk to them when they call and want to meet with me. I allow that to happen, because a lot of them just want to talk. They just want to vent. They want to have hope that this individual can be held accountable for taking their child's life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Chief, you are all over the place, right? You're all over the place. You're doing town halls. You're showing up here. You're showing up there.
I'm out in the woods at the homeless camp also.
You're everywhere, man. You're absolutely everywhere. And again, I think that's one of the reasons Jackson celebrated when you were named police chief, because you're connected to the community, right? You're connected to the community. You're a pillar in the community. But talk to us a little bit about the responsibility of the community itself, right? Because a lot of times, folks see things, but they don't say anything about it, right?
Yeah.
So there's that saying, if you see something, say something. But oftentimes, that does not happen.
But I want to say this, Othor, that 81% solvability rate is because of the hard-working men and women of JPD. That's one half of the pie. The other half of the pie is the community coming forward saying something. We have community people that are coming forward. They're giving us surveillance footage from their homes. They are contacting me directly here at the chief's office and, hey, chief, I know who did that. So the community is tired, and I say this often, tired of the foolishness and the chaos here in the city of Jackson. So the community is helping us to solve these homicide cases here in the city of Jackson. But, I went to FBI NAA leadership certification course last month. And one of the things that they talked about, we had about 50 law enforcement executives from across the state of Mississippi, and we talked about community engagement. We are doing so many things to bring the community in here at JPD. First of all, we have a community engagement group. We have 5 young ladies who work in lockstep with the community. They work with the schools, the businesses, community groups and organizations, the faith-based community, because we can't do anything without the community. We also have our neighborhood enhancement team to deal with people that continue to bring their garbage, trash, and filth into the city of Jackson. They're working with neighborhood cleanups. I know you probably saw that last week. Me out picking up trash with youth down in South Jackson. So that's important, community engagement, neighborhood enhancement. But we're also connecting with the community through our Citizens Police Academy, our Clergy Police Academy, our Youth Citizens Police Academy. Everything that I do is community related. And I have some people on my team sometimes, Chief, you don't ever rest. You're going 7 days a week. I can't say no to the community. I just want to tell them today, Chief, you are so accessible. I have to be, because people are depending on me for public safety. And what the community has told me over and over again, Othor, hey, we know some bad stuff is happening. We know some bad stuff happened this weekend, but you come forward, you get in front of it. And I use an old analogy from my mentor, my friend, I miss him so much, former Sheriff Lee Vance. Mm-hmm. Lee Vance, he's only one way to eat a soup sandwich. That's take large bites. I've been taking a lot of large bites, but I have to let the community know what we're doing to address these issues that continue to pillage our community.
Absolutely. It's interesting that you talk about, blight connected to crime, because it absolutely is. And there are 2 Hinds County supervisors that have been working really hard over in South Jackson to get it cleaned up. Supervisor of District 3, Deborah Dixon, and Supervisor of District 4, Wanda Evers. They have been working extremely hard. Supervisor Evers and I, we were over on Glen Aaron, I think where the body was found in the car. And she has really put some dumpsters out there, had her team out there really cleaning that place up. And one of the things that she said was, hey, South Jackson is a beautiful place. People don't deserve to live like that. And so if we're going to solve crime, clean up, we've got to clean these areas up. And so I think that plays a part in your work, right?
Well, it's ironic you said that. I actually rolled past Glen Aaron today and I saw those dumpsters out there. I'm like, wow, that is amazing, because I talk to people who stay in that community. And we got contractors that are renovating homes that come right there and dump out toilets and sinks and sheetrock, and we're going to lock them up. And whenever I lock them up, I make sure they perp walk them down there in that basement, because I do want them to be embarrassed for what they're doing to our city. But what we find out, Othor, most of the time, these people don't even stay in Jackson.
Right.
They're coming to Jackson, dumping their trash and mattresses and refrigerators, then go back to their bedroom communities. When we catch them, we're going to arrest them. We're going to make sure they're prosecuted. But blight, dilapidated housing. I've been up to the state capitol twice myself, the sheriff and Chief Bo Lucky, talking to our colleagues up there and representatives and people up there who want to help Jackson. And we talked about dilapidated housing, and we talked about things that would help us fight crime. We know these abandoned homes, and a young man was shot this morning, actually, in South Jackson, in an abandoned home. What he was doing in there, who knows? Prayerfully, he's recovering from his injuries, but these things are magnets for criminal activity, blight, rodents, filth. Nobody wants that next door to them.
You're absolutely right. And that has been a big priority for Supervisor Wanda Evers and for her portion of South Jackson. So
she's doing an amazing job. I've talked to her several times, and her and Deborah Dixon, Supervisor Dixon, they're doing a wonderful job. We have got to address this blight and filth and let people feel good about where they are. You don't want your kids getting out playing around these houses. And I've went in some myself, including Hotel O, and you see needles, syringes on the floor. You know, we had to back out because it was just too dangerous.
Right. That's man. That's something. You know, do you find, Chief, that we do a whole lot of talking and not enough action, not enough work?
And I don't know when you said we, but I do want to prefix it that, and I often challenge, I don't know if you heard me yesterday when I was talking to the media, I challenge everyone to get off the sidelines, get out of the press box, come out on the playing field with me.
Right.
Because, you know, we have enough critics and skeptics. Let's have people that are doing things to help these issues here in the city of Jackson. You know, when we talk about the 100 homicides, we're talking about 100 families that have been traumatized forever. Right. They're never going to get over losing that loved one. When we talk about blight, when we're talking about homelessness, you know, for some reason now I'm the spokesperson for homelessness in the city of Jackson because I'm always getting called to talk about it. Right. But one stance that I make, I understand that people don't want homeless individuals around them, but you know, I try to educate them as well. That's why I went into these homeless encampments and I saw a lady in there in a wheelchair living in the woods suffering from multiple sclerosis. Wow. So oftentimes when we talk about homelessness, we're talking about people suffering from mental health issues. We're talking about people suffering from substance abuse, drug addiction. And these people sometimes just require medical help. So we just can't sit back and point the finger, Chief, go out there and arrest them. We're not going to arrest away homelessness here in the city of Jackson. And I do agree with you. You know, a lot of times you see me behind that podium, I'm standing there what? Alone.
Right.
There's a lonely place sometimes when those cameras are rolling, but I sit out there and I give credit to my people for the work that they do. And I take blame and I take accountability and ownership for what bad has happened. You know, we're not perfect. I don't proclaim us to be perfect. And I have two modes of operation when it comes to our police officers. I support them, commend them, celebrate them, honor them for the work that they do. But on the other hand, I will hold them accountable for what they don't do.
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely.
What they don't do. And I have to do that. And I got so much praise from the community about how I addressed the issue a couple of weeks ago. You know, hold people accountable, hold them accountable. Don't run from it. Again, take large bites out of that soup sandwich.
Listen, I got to tell you, when you, I don't know if it was a press conference. I don't know how I got it. I don't know how I got it. What I do know, though, you're the first chief that I can remember, right? That I can recall, that I can remember. You're the first chief that has publicly acknowledged like that when one of his officers didn't follow protocol, didn't follow the law, right? You addressed it whenever this officer left the scene or didn't stop, something was going on and the officer didn't stop. For you to call that out publicly, I thought that is the mark of a good leader.
Yes. But you know, the thing about it, Othor, is that I don't want the citizens to lose faith and trust in the Jackson Police Department. Right. I don't want the citizens to lose faith and trust in me because we have some men and women out here putting their lives on the line every single day. They could go work in Brandon, they could work in Madison or somewhere else, or the Highway Patrol, and do a lot less and make probably about the same thing as far as pay, but they choose to be here. At 29 years as of today, I choose to be here.
Right.
You know, God has been good to me. Both of my babies are graduates of Jackson State University, so I walk a little taller right now. Go Tigers. You know, but I'm here because of the men and women who work at JPD. I want to make it a better place for them. And I understand everybody's not going to fit that mold. Everybody is not going to see my vision and go my direction, and that's fine. Maybe you'll find something else for you, or maybe I'll find something else for you. But for the ones that are here, I'm going to commend them, honor them, and hold them accountable. But I have so many citizens depending on me for public safety. When I'm at community meetings and elderly people are holding my hand, and telling me that they're depending on me, they love what I'm doing, they want to take a picture with me, that means everything to me. That's why I do what I do for the men and women of JPD and for the citizens who are depending on me for their livelihood and their quality of life.
Absolutely, absolutely. So there's so many agencies around. Kind of talk to us about Capitol Police, and we know based on law they've expanded their reach inside of Jackson. How is this working? Do you still have overall jurisdiction of Jackson, or is your space limited with the expansion of Capitol Police?
Yeah. And that's a question that I get all the time from the community. And most of the time, they're not educated on what it looks like, or they have not been properly informed. So I make sure that I educate and inform them on what it looks like. Capitol Police and also Hinds County Sheriff's Department, we all three in a certain area of Jackson have a mutual shared jurisdiction. Mutual shared jurisdiction. So Capitol Police is primary within their area. But we still have Jackson police officers inside of those areas patrolling, carrying out their law enforcement functions within the CCID. We have not eradicated or moved out of the CCID, nor will we ever do that. But what we have to do is make sure that we are not duplicating services. Mm-hmm. Make sure we're not duplicating services. And the way we do that is by communication. And you said something very clear earlier about connecting. It's about communicating and connecting. Mm-hmm. I have a great working relationship with Chief Bo Lucky. He contacts me weekly or every other week. We talk on the phone. We are probably at most community meetings together as well, along with the sheriff. So we understand what our role is. They're not trying to take over all of Jackson. They have a duty and responsibility. I respect that. But he also respects that I'm the chief of the whole city of Jackson and not just a certain area within a certain precinct.
Absolutely. Well, man, and of course I knew that, so I wanted to give you an opportunity to say that to our listeners, because people don't understand that. People don't understand that, right? I think it's absolutely important and absolutely critical that those relationships are maintained and that those relationships are sustained and built. Because at the end of the day, you're all working for the same goal, right? You're working for the same goal, and that is for public safety.
And, their 911 calls still come to our 911 center. And I tell my team all the time, we're not going to be acting like some kids in a sandbox, pushing and shoving about jurisdiction. Right. If they call us, we're going to respond. And people don't care if you're having some type of traumatic situation going on, you need help. The citizens of Jackson really don't care if it's a black and white car that pulls up or a orange and white. But also, we're going to be retiring the orange and white stripe. We're going to be retiring the orange stripe. That was one of the things that officers really have been pushing since I've been the chief, and I've granted that to them. So you'll see the next vehicles, the new 15 that we now have on the ground, they will be displaying a new image of the Jackson Police Department. It's going to be a more traditional JPD vehicle instead of the orange stripe. We'll just put it in some type of Hall of Fame or something, the orange stripe.
I think that's good, man. I think that's good. I think the citizens will appreciate that as well. Even though I have an affinity for orange, Callaway High School, So
you sound like somebody else told me that. Look, the orange has started growing on me, but it's important to me the way the officers see themselves. It's important to me the way the citizens see themselves. And I've looked at a lot of different vehicles across the state. We've mocked up a lot of different designs, and we're going to go back to the blue and white traditional colors. It'll be a different design, but it's something that our men and women can be proud of. And people may not think, oh, what difference does a color of vehicle make? Yes, it makes a difference, because I'm trying to change the culture and mindset of the Jackson Police Department. And the way you change that is by changing artifacts. That car is an artifact, and you have to change
it. And when people feel good, right, about what they're doing, about the resources that they have, about the tools that they have, and they feel good about it, if they feel good about coming to work, then their productivity is going to be far better.
Yeah, productivity means a lot. And I was talking to someone today. We're trying to come up with some type of wellness program for our police officers, because I say this oftentimes to my team. I'm very concerned about their emotional health, physical health, and mental health, because these officers see the absolute worst that society has to offer. And I told them today, I said, if we don't have these officers to focus on their mental wellness, physical wellness today, they'll be focusing on the illness later.
Yes.
So I want to make sure they're healthy, they feel good about themselves. And when they do, our productivity goes up. They feel good about what they're doing, and they're good representation. And we won't have these situations where I'm behind that podium, trying to explain some mistake or some thing that was done intentionally by one of our police officers that was against our policies and procedures and training.
Good deal. Speaking of mental health, there are a lot of folk out who are suffering from mental health issues, right? And I don't know how much training your officers get, and if whether or not they're able to identify, that, or when episodes happen. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yes. Well, I actually recently signed a MOU with Hines Behavioral Health. We have been working with them for probably several years without being under a MOU. So now we are working towards, my goal is to get every Jackson police officer trained in crisis intervention through Hines Behavioral Health, because we get these calls every single day with people suffering from mental illness. And you go out there, and instead of de-escalating the situation escalates, and you have to use an intermediate weapon such as a taser or something like that. And just a bad look. This person doesn't need to be incarcerated. This person needs help, mental health. So, mental health issues, they're suffering. And also, they are suffering from mental health issues, but they're self-medicating with drugs.
Right.
So now you add a whole nother level to it when you're talking about fentanyl, when you're talking about PCP, when you're talking about heroin. That is a very dangerous situation for anyone who comes in contact with that individual. But as I talk to the community, I try to explain to them the likelihood of a homeless person attacking you is less than someone attacking a homeless person. The data shows that the homeless people are the ones that are being victimized. They're the ones that are being victimized. But I've also talked to our local partners about transporting people to Jackson. All right. I've had a meeting with several chiefs.
That's a drop off. That's a real thing. That's a drop off. That's a real thing.
That's a very real thing. And I've gotten this, story about, hey, we're taking them to the bus stop, but they don't have a bus ticket, nor do they have any money. Right. So we've had those conversations. We had that dialogue, and most have been very receptive. I can pick up the phone right now and call the chief in Ridgeland, Madison, Pearl, Brandon, Byram, Terry, Clinton, Edwards. We all have mutual respect, Vicksburg, and we're communicating about what's happening here in Central Mississippi because it impacts all of us.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Chief, where do you see Jackson in the next 5 years?
5 years. Wow. My plan for JPD, I take it in 6-month increments. We made a lot of progress. The thing that I'm most proud of is that I've been able to get 2 pay raises for Jackson police officers. Starting pay now is $50,000. When I came on, it was like 23, 24, but I thought I was rich, Othor. I was single, in 95, I thought I was rich. But starting pay is now competitive. We don't have people jumping back and forth across the fence because of pay, because we are now competitive. I see us as an agency that people can respect once again. I really, hated to see us being the brunt of jokes in the law enforcement community. That is no longer the case. As I go to the Chiefs Conference next week in North Mississippi, and I went to the one last year and also the leadership training, they're telling me about the great work they've heard about here in the city of Jackson. They talk about the things they see me talking about on TV. So now we have that respect back in the law enforcement circles on the local, county, state, and federal level. I was at West Virginia, FBI sieges back in August, September, and they way up there in West Virginia were telling me about the good things they were hearing about Jackson, Mississippi, that we were doing in law enforcement. We have to be open-minded. We have to be able to take steps forward. I will be unconventional as I move forward. We're not going to do the things that we did back in the 90s and the 2000s, because law enforcement is a different profession than it was then. But we have a very young police department. That's why I was so focused on bringing people back with institutional knowledge, because I talk about me being on 29 years. Most of our department is probably 29 and less. We have a very young police department.
Well, man, you have great vision. Again, I think we are all appreciative of your leadership. This 1 year that you've been in serving as the top cop has been nothing short of amazing. Lots of challenges, but good work.
Yes.
And to talk about an 81%
Thank you.
survivability rate, man, kudos to you, my brother. We'll give you an opportunity to share some final thoughts.
Well, I just want to let the citizens of Jackson know that, yes, we're working hard for you. This is the Jackson Police Department is not a finished product. It's not my police department. It is the citizens of Jackson's police department. And I want them to be proud of the men and women who serve them. And I also want the men and women of JPD to be proud when they put on this black uniform that I love so much that I donned back in 1995. Also want us to break the cycle of youth violence.
Right. Look at that.
Oh, I see. I don't really like that picture, man. I got to update my pictures, but you know, we're a work in progress. We still have a lot of work to do. I hate that picture too, man. I got to get you some better pictures. I don't know where you got these pictures from. Yeah. Oh, that's a more up to date picture right there. But, you know, probably in the next 6 months, my hair would be Snow White, or I would have lost all the hair. Yes.
Well, good deal, man.
You got me good.
We are grateful for you, brother. We are appreciative of your leadership, man. Keep doing the job that you're doing. Again, you can't rush your way out of the situation that you find ourselves in, but I think that you're on the right track. I think with all of these players and community groups and organizations and associations rallying behind you, you and your team can help to be successful.
Absolutely. I'm very excited about it. I'm so excited to represent the men and women of JPD, but also the citizens of Jackson, who are some amazing people.
Good deal, man. Lots of great comments. My man Anthony Fox says, that's a great man, a great chief right there.
That's my guy, man, Anthony Fox. That's a good police officer there, man. I get jealous sometimes because he got all these medals and awards that he's won, and I only have 2 right here. So that's my guy. That's my guy right there.
He's a great guy. Great guy. Chief, thank you, man. Thank you for being with us tonight.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for having me on. All right.
Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you. All right.
All right, that's Jackson Police Chief Joseph Wade, been the top cop for a little more than a year now. But as he's shared with us tonight, today marked 29 years that he's been with the Jackson Police Department. Job well done, Chief. Again, thank you so much for being here. Thank all of you guys for being here and for engaging with us as well. Listen, your support means everything to us, absolutely everything to us. Sheila, thank you so much. Your support means absolutely everything to us, and we are absolutely grateful. There's a QR code there that you can scan and make a donation to. You can do it directly also to our Cash App, and that is $Othor Cain. We appreciate you. We're working hard for you. There's the Cash App information there as well. So to all of you who've reached out, who've given, who've supported, thank you, thank you, thank you. Every little bit helps. It keeps us it allows us rather to continue to bring you these conversations, because we are able to go beyond the headlines, right? We're able to delve far longer than a 30-second, 60-second soundbite. We're able to get to the heart of what matters most to all of you. That's our broadcast for tonight from all of us here at the Othor Cain Show. Good night.